Hello dear students, welcome back to this tele and radio tutoring alternative English class with me Esther Zutsobio as your tutor. In today's class, we'll be doing the poem Indian Weavers by Sarojini Naidu. Sarojini Naidu, 13th February 1879 to 2nd March 1949 was a renowned Indian poet and political leader. She was also a feminist and the first Indian woman to become the president of the Indian National Congress and to be appointed an Indian state governor. She was an important figure in India's struggle for independence from colonial rule. Naidu's work as a poet earned her the name Bharat Kokila, meaning Nightingale of India. Naidu's poetry includes both children's poems and others written on more serious themes including patriotism, romance, and tragedy. Indian Weavers by Sarojini Naidu is a short poem included in The Golden Threshold. The Golden Threshold is Naidu's first collection of poems. This poem consists of 3 stanzas with 4 lines each. The 3 stanzas represent the 3 stages of life: childhood, youth, and old age. The poet also talks about 3 types of clothes that the Indian weavers weave at 3 particular times of the day. And each time of the day metaphorically symbolizes a particular stage of life. The poem consists of a discussion between the poet and the weavers. The poet asks the weavers and the weavers reply. Let's look at the poem. Weavers weaving at break of day, why do you weave a garment so gay? Blue as the wing of a halcyon wild, we weave the robes of a newborn child. Weavers weaving at fall of night, why do you weave a garment so bright? Like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green, we weave the marriage veils of a queen. Weavers weaving, solemn and still, what do you weave in the moonlight chill? White as a feather and white as a cloud, we weave a dead man's funeral shroud. So let's look at the first stanza. Weavers weaving at break of day. Break of day here means in the morning. Why do you weave a garment so gay? Gay here means happy or cheerful. Blue as the wing of a halcyon wild. Halcyon here refers to the bird kingfisher. We weave the robes of a newborn child. In the first stanza, the poet inquires about the weavers weaving early in the morning. The garment that is being weaved seems profoundly gay or happy to the poet. Then the weavers answer by saying that they are making a garment for a newborn child, which is of the color blue. Blue here signifies gay and cheerfulness, having an innocent appearance. The fact that the weavers weave at the break of day, that is, in the morning, is very important. The start of a new day has been used as a metaphor by comparing it to the start of a new life, referring to the childhood stage. Thereby, we see that the occasion of being born on the earth is being celebrated in the first stanza of the poem, signifying the arrival of new hope to the world. The second stanza. Weavers weaving at fall of night. Fall of night here means in the evening. Why do you weave a garment so bright? Bright here refers to attractiveness or colorfulness. Like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green. Plumes here means feather of a peacock. We weave the marriage veils of a queen. Marriage veils of a queen here is referred to a Hindu bride. So this second stanza of the poem deals with the second stage, that is the youth stage. This is the part of our life in which we are most active, as if capable of conquering the world. The poet again goes on to ask the weavers why they weave such a bright garment at the fall of night, which stands for the evening, to which the weavers reply that they are making the marriage veils of a queen that looks like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green. Purple and green here signifies royalty and attractiveness, prosperity and beauty. Thus, like the feathers of a peacock, the veils looks dazzling in purple and green. One thing we need to keep in mind about the poet's use of mixed colors to represent this second stage is to denote the fact that one faces both joy and sorrow in this stage. Therefore, this stanza explains the free and vibrant nature as well as the sad and sorrow experiences of youth. Now proceeding to the third stanza. Weavers weaving, solemn and still. Solemn and still here means deeply serious or calm or silent. What do you weave in the moonlight chill? Moonlight chill here refers to a very cold and chilly night. White as a feather and white as a cloud, we weave a dead man's funeral shroud. Shroud here refers to the white cloth that the Hindus use to wrap the dead body according to their custom. So in this third stanza, the poet asks the weavers what they are weaving in the moonlight chill, which means at the dead of night when nature is cold and chilly. The attitude of the weavers seemed to be extraordinarily quiet and calm in their reply. When they go on to say that they are making a dead man's funeral shroud, shroud here refers to a white cloth used to wrap a dead body by the Hindus. The weavers are making the dead man's funeral shroud, which is as white as a feather and white as a cloud. White has been repeated twice in the second last line, signifying purity and old age or death. Thus, the last stanza emphasizes on the last stage of a man, that is, old age and eventual death. The use of white in this stage also denotes the fact where men find peace after death, as they no longer face challenges of the world. So with that, we come to the end of the explanation of the poem. Now let's check out some of the poetic devices applied in the poem. First of all, simile. In the previous class, we have discussed about simile. Simile means highlighting the similarities between two different things using words such as like or as. So the simile used in the poem is in the first stanza, that is blue as the wing of a halcyon wild. This line is a simile. Here, the blue robes of a newborn child is compared to the cheerful-looking wing of a halcyon wild. The second simile used is from the second stanza, that is, like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green. Here, the marriage veils of a queen is compared to the attractive feathers of a peacock in purple and green colors. The third simile applied is from the third stanza, that is, white as a feather and white as a cloud. Here, a funeral shroud is compared to the peaceful-looking white feather or a white cloud. Now, the next poetic device implied is imagery. Imagery is a poetic device used by writers to create images in the mind of the readers. It includes figurative and metaphorical language to improve the reader's experience through their senses. The color blue is an imagery used in the poem to emphasize the joys of life in the childhood stage, whereby one is not yet aware about the ups and downs of life. The colors purple and green is an imagery used to denote both joy and sorrow in the second stage, where the youth experience times of both joy, time, and fun time, as well as sorrow as they get to experience more about life. The color white is an imagery used to represent peace in the third stage, that is, the old age or death, an assumption where man finds peace after death as they no longer face challenges of the world. Alliteration applied. Okay, the next poetic device is alliteration. Alliteration applied in the poem is weaver's weaving. And in the second stanza, like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green. And in the third stanza, solemn and still is in alliteration. Now, lastly, the rhyme scheme applied in the poem. The rhyme scheme of the poem is day, gay, AA, wild, child, BB, night, bright, CC, green, queen, DD. The third stanza, still, chill, EE, and cloud, shroud, FF. So the rhyme scheme of the poem is AA, BB, CC, DD, EE, and FF. So now let's discuss some of the exercises from the poem given in the text, some of the exercises given in the text. Exercise A, answer the following questions briefly. What is the similarity between death and moonlight chill? That's a question. Just as the passage of life ends with death, similarly, a day's journey ends with the night. So that's how death and moonlight chill are similar in the poem. The next question, colors reflect moods. Give some examples from the poem to illustrate this. So some of the examples that Sarojini has used in the poem to show that colors reflect moods are blue. Just as we have discussed in the summary of the poem earlier, blue signifies happiness or cheerfulness according to the poet. Purple and green signifies royalty and beauty or attractiveness that symbolizes the youth stage in the second stage. And white represents the third stage, and white represents peace, the peace that we get after death, according to the poet. What are the stages of life depicted in the poem? So, as we have discussed about it, the stages of life depicted in the poem is the first stage, childhood, the second stage, youth, and the third stage, old age or death. Identify 2 literary devices used in the poem. So, we've already discussed about so many poetic devices or literary devices used in the poem. Example, simile, or imagery, or alliteration. One example for simile is blue as the wing of a halcyon wild. An example for alliteration is weaver's weaving, or like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green. Explain the following lines with reference to the context. Weaver's weaving at fall of night, why do you weave a garment so bright? What time of the day is it? So this refers to the evening time of the day. Why are the weavers making a bright garment? The weavers are making a bright garment because they are weaving the marriage veils of a queen, which is supposed to look bright and attractive, like the plumes of a peacock. What is the brightness of the garment compared to. The brightness of the garment is compared to the plumes of a peacock, which is in purple and green color. Weavers weaving, Solomon still, what do you weave in the moonlight chill? White as a feather and white as a cloud, we weave a dead man's funeral shroud. The question here is, what does the poet ask the weavers? The poet is asking the weavers what they are weaving in the moonlight chill. That is what they are weaving at the dead of the cold night. What is the shroud compared to by the weavers? The shroud is compared to a feather or a white cloud by the poet. So students, with that we come to the end of our lesson for today. I'll see you again in our next video lesson. Till then, stay cared.